Hey everybody, it's Dr. Green, the Road Scholar, coming back at you. I had an interesting question on my last video, and I've had several people asking about this. I see other people on other channels asking about this one question. It is, should they get into the trucking industry now, or should they wait to the end of the year and before they join into the trucking? And then I've watched a channel called Freight Waves TV. They do a lot of information on freight and trucking and all kinds of shipping, rails, everything else. Container shipping across seas on actual ships. They handle everything in freight, logistics, and everything. Great channel for information. I've also watched some other people's channels that they try to explain the dynamics of what is happening here right now. And I have taken all this information in for a while, and I don't really, or haven't really talked about it except to tell people this is not the time to get into trucking. And I'm going to try to explain why this is not really the time to get into trucking. Some people are pointing at those of us that are truck drivers that are following this kind of information. We all heard about Yellow going out of business by now, or if you haven't, they're going out of business. They're done. And a lot of people say, well, that's going to, Yellow's the third largest LTL trucking company. That's going to pick up a lot of freight in the LTL sector and everything, and it's going to bump prices back up and everything. And it hasn't. People have been switching away from Yellow for the last 6 months or so. They've been going to other LTL carriers, these people that do the LTL freight and everything. And now everyone's going to go, well, that many trucks going off the road should mean that, we're going to need more supply of truck drivers and everything to take their place. Here's the thing, just because LTL goes off the road doesn't mean those truck drivers are going to go home. Those truck drivers are going to go to other companies and get jobs. So we are still going to have as many drivers out here as we do now. That's not really going to affect the regular trucking, over the road trucking, that much. As we can tell by looking at the spot market. The spot market, even though there's been a little influx in freight, the spot market is still hurting. The reason is because these other carriers, bigger major carriers and bigger carriers that make all these contracts and everything, haven't raised their rates. And guys, this goes to the kind of complex, so I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can. These bigger companies are picking up all this extra freight. It's not going down to the spot market. Here's what happens. It's called contract freight. So these big suppliers and everything, and manufacturers and everything, make contract deals with the major carriers and big companies and everything to carry contract freight at a contracted rate. Well, the thing is, they didn't lower their rates all the way down as low as they could have. They kind of kept them up kind of high, trying to take care of the freight companies. And in return, they expect the freight companies, when things go up a little bit, instead of raising your rates up immediately, we worked with you, kept you running, kept your trucks doing the best we could, and we didn't, go down as low as we could, which they could have went down a lot lower, and some of these companies wouldn't have made it. They kept the rates I wouldn't say pretty good, but they kept them so these companies could survive. Well, now that there's more freight, they expect the trucking companies, the transportation companies, to help them out. Look, don't be jumping the rates back up on us way tremendously just because we got a little bit more freight. And because we took care of you. And the bigger companies realize that, and they're not jumping the freight rates up, and they're not turning down the freight. So the freight's not dropping all the way down to the spot market. There's a lot of other issues going on too. That's just one of the major things. LTL freight doesn't really affect us that much. Yellow going out of business isn't going to all of a sudden boost up the rates and everything. These other companies have been taking Yellow business for the last 6 months. Slowly, these other companies have been using Yellow, have been using these other Old Dominion and some of these other LTL companies, slowly pulling their freight away from Yellow, which is what caused the final collapse of Yellow, is that they just haven't been getting the freight because everyone got scared because they weren't able to make their payments on time, and everyone's seen Yellow was fixing to crash. And that's what's happened. Yellow's gone. So that hasn't helped the regular OTR rates at all. We've had a little boost in amount of freight, but again, the bigger companies, the contract carriers, have ate it all up. They haven't passed it down. So until some of these big companies start having cutbacks or going out of business or whatever that needs to happen, we still have way too many drivers in the industry, way too many trucks out here. So if you cannot survive as an owner operator on less than, $220, $230 a mile, you're going to have a rough next 6 months, and maybe even longer than that, because there's too many people who have put too much money. They've risked everything to get into the market when it was hot, and they don't have enough experience to know to get out before they lose everything. And they will. Some of these companies, as you've seen, going bankrupt and everything, they're losing their trucks. They're not able to make their payments, not at these rates. So we're going to have to wait for the market to thin out a little bit more before the rates even start going back up at a decent rate. So when some of these new drivers or people come on here and they're asking other trucking channels and everything what they think and why they think that, we really haven't given an explanation. I watch FreightWaves again, like I mentioned earlier, and so they use a sonar system. They got all these analysts and everything, but they're not truck drivers. So I'm going to tell you from looking at the truck driving experience what's going to happen. A lot of these yellow truck drivers are going to go to other companies. These other companies are going to absorb them. And the freight that Yellow was carrying is being absorbed by the other LTL carriers. So that's not really going to be a bump for us. With all these LTL drivers or from Yellow going to these other major companies to take jobs and everything, they're going to have to go over the road. And that's going to keep the supply of drivers higher than the demand for drivers. So the rates are not going to go back up. Not for a while. And now with all these thousands of drivers from Yellow coming in here, they're definitely not going to go up for a while. So now, some people are trying to predict what will happen in January or February. Will we see a boost? And to be honest with you, anyone who says that they see a boost coming, what are they basing that on? Well, consumers are still buying. Yeah, but they're not buying at the rate they were pre-2020 or 2021, 2022 during COVID. They're not buying at those rates. The retail market has fallen off because now people have discretionary money to spend on traveling and everything. So, no, consumer good production is not going back up to the 2021, 2022 rates. And probably won't. I mean, I don't see, unless a lot of people just start staying at home and order like they did before off of Amazon and all these other places, just ordering retail products and going shopping more, it's not going to go back up. That was a blip in the graph. There's not going to be that much consumer buying of products, especially when the prices of things are going higher. Commodities are going higher, sugar's going higher, chocolate's going higher, all these other things are going up and up and up, and consumers don't have the money and don't have the discretionary income to be spending on these products, the retail products, and the service industry. And right now, they have been out in a long time, and they're still traveling is up a lot. People are still breaking out of this COVID thing, as you can see. So do I see it going back up? Should you get back into this trucking industry? Should you go buy a truck or anything like that? No. By all means, no. Not right now. People go, well, you finished off your... I was so heavily invested into my truck that for the last 6 months, they weren't getting this truck back. I had money saved up. I could have paid it off cash months ago and everything, but I wasn't. I was, trying to spare my money out and everything and spread it out. So I finished off my lease doing the payment plan. But I was so heavily invested in my truck that I wasn't going to let it go. Would I repeat the same decisions today that I did 3 years ago when I started with Dart? No, most definitely not. I would not get into the lease program as a single driver doing a lease purchase program at these rates. I was lucky at the time. I pulled in. We had good contracts with P&G. Things were going really well. It was nonstop out here. We were able to switch over to Percentage. Percentage was doing real well. They have this thing called OPI where drivers are able to pick their own loads. The rates were so high, we were all making really good money at that time. When I got in, it lasted a good 2.5 years before it collapsed. But after 2.5 years of paying on this truck, I damn sure wasn't getting it back. So yeah, I stuck with it to pay off my truck, and now I'm fixing to go solo on my own and make some more money, because I will make more money under my own authority than I will driving with Dart. But I want to finish out August at least, with Dart, just because I'm trying to get a little bit financial things just in place, so I know I won't make a financial mistake that will end up costing me. I could jump off my own authority right now, but it'll be a little bit tight, and I don't want to take that chance. So, yeah, that's my advice. Should new drivers get into trucking? No. Rates are too low right now. You're too much of a risk. And you hear some guys talk about, well, my uncle drives a truck and he makes $80,000 a year. And this, not this year. Not unless he owns his own truck and everything, and not as a company driver. Not this year. So I know, unless he's got dedicated fleet run or something like that, no. Regular OTR waiting on dispatch over the regular load boards and stuff in front of the company, no, they're not making that much, not this year. So again, this is one of the industries I would not be getting into right now. Just save yourself the heartache. If you want to be a company driver, maybe, but be warned, you're not going to be driving like our video showed a year ago, even as a company driver. You know, it's just not going to happen. You're going to get out here, you're going to be shut down for a day or two, you're only going to get a 300-mile run, you're going to a 500-mile run, and it's going to frustrate the hell out of you when you can't make your bills and everything. And then you're going to sit up here and say, well, everything I seen on YouTube was saying how great it was. Look at the age of those videos. Because right now, we're not out here bragging like we did a year ago. You know, some drivers have taken chances and got trucks, and things have happened. Truck goes into the shop, and you were barely making it as is, and now you can't make the payments, you fall behind, you lose your lease, and you're upset because I paid on this truck for a year, and now I went to the shop, and the company's not helping. The reason the company's not helping now, and DART doesn't really help out when you go to shop right now either if you're on a lease program, because DART's losing money. A lot of these runs that we're doing, DART's not making any money on. They're just trying to keep us running. You know, so that's the reason they don't offer the percentage anymore. The rates have dropped so low on the low boards that DART doesn't even offer percentage to the new drivers coming on. And OPI is out the door right now. They're not offering that because the rates are just so low right now. So when do you know when it's a good time? Here's how you know when it's a good time to go with DART. When you call up, they say, yes, you can pick percentage, OPI, or by the mile, then you know it's okay to come back into driving. Until then, it's not. And all these other companies can lie, and they will. We all know. I'll say one thing about DART. They don't lie to us. You know, they're telling us. DART will tell you. All dispatchers, everything tells us. Right now, DART, it's a bloodbath out here. We picked up a little bit more freight here because of the summer months and everything, but this little bump happens every summer, and it's nowhere near what it was last year. And our people will tell us. They'll tell you if you call them. You know, it's dog eat dog out here right now. So that's my advice. Stay out of trucking if you have another job. Construction is doing better now. Some other things, but trucking, no, not right now. Anyway, guys, I just had to get on here to talk about that because a lot of people have asked, should they wait, to the end of the year? Should they, go company driver? Should they go lease driver? I'm just now trying to think about getting my CDL. If you don't have a CDL and you've not been out here already, don't. Stay what you're doing. The money's not like it used to be. And of course, ours goes up, it's cyclical. Our industry is very cyclical. We have peaks, we have valleys. Right now, we're in a valley, and this valley has been riding for a lot longer than anyone thought it would. That's the reason, like at the beginning of the year, we'll say, well, I'll be glad when the springtime gets here, the produce kicks in because the freight can go back up. It didn't happen this year. And the reason is because we simply do not have the freight. We simply have too many drivers out here doing it. And people go, well, by Christmas, it's going to be bouncing back up because we're seeing this and we're seeing that. No, the analysts are not seeing it. We're not getting in more ships. There's no more freight coming in, so I don't know where they're drawing these. They're extending it further out, hoping that sooner or later they're going to be right. It reminds me of the guys on Wall Street whenever they start talking about stocks when they go up and down everything. And we expect this company to go here, and then you invest your money and it doesn't, because there's really no information to support what they're saying. Even on Freightways say, well, we're expecting it to go back up in December. Why? Show me why. Well, we have a lot more manufacturing jobs back in America again. No, we don't. Quit listening to D.C. Washington, D.C., no bueno. No good. They've been lying to us, and we all know it. Any truck driver here will tell you. You know, Washington, D.C. is full of crap. We do not have any more manufacturing jobs. All these jobs they say they've created is a lot of jobs they let the American public have back. But the demand for the products are not up there because, again, everyone is spending their money other places besides just sit-at-home retail. Anyway, guys, that's what I had to say on this one. Just advice about, do you want to be in the trucking right now? Do you want to come into this industry if you're a young man ready to break out and do something different? This isn't it. This is not it right now. Have a good one.